was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
And welcome to Making a Difference Wednesday. You are listening to the Mad Radio Show with John and Sam. We are broadcasting live from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios here in Arlington, Texas. Globe Life Park, the heart of the entertainment district. Man, we've had a great week, but a crazy week, and we are all under that same lockdown still. It is now, July 22nd, and we still don't know where we're going, what we're doing, or how we're getting there, but I guess the political leaders are coming up with some sort of plan to try to help us out. But
hey, we woke up this morning.
We woke up this morning. That's
a
a great thing. But you know, Sam, me and you and a multitude of other people. You know, we 12 and Mongo. We started the show early today because 12 and Mongo had to get out back to Rockwall to walk the bridge with those supporters. So we got to look at our first responders out there that are fighting that fight every single day, over and over and over again. And we discussed this a little bit today on the 99, where, you know, this agenda throughout the summer on the constant assault on our police officers is going to cause irreversible harm. And I don't know if we are going to be able to make it back. I mean, do you think we're going to have police officers? You know, they say this is going to all end in November, right?
Well, tell that to the 49 police officers that were physically injured in Chicago over the weekend. And while they were being assaulted by a very violent crowd, 17 people were shot, more children killed. And I'm reading knees broken. So I mean, these are police officers that that is still an injury that will end a career.
Yeah.
And so I always talk about our humanness, and I'm wondering where our humanness has gone. There clearly is, political agenda.
It's like Festivus.
Humanness. There clearly is an agenda being perpetrated by city leaders across the U.S., specifically in those cities that are being affected, without kind of stepping back, taking a breath, and coming together as a community, really reaching out and deciding to have an open dialogue, not an argument, a dialogue. And I me, I listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, and we all have, we all have our strong traits. We all do something well. And if we can bring what we do well to the community to foster change and understanding, That's where we're going to make a difference. We never, I mean, history, stress, talk, however you want to frame it, you cannot make a good decision if you're in the emotion of it.
Right.
And all of the cities and towns that have already just said, okay, we're done, we're defunding, and have done it, and there's no more police. That was a pure emotional decision. And in some cities, Charlottesville, Virginia, city council, you might want to think before you act and take your ridiculous, unfounded anger out on your police force. Because, I don't know. When an angry mob is at your front door and you're calling 911, sorry, you took us off you took our roles away.
Right.
We don't have police roles. Did they put anything else in? No. How about that? Well, no more police, and we don't have anybody else. So the angry mob shows up as this councilwoman's house. She's scared. She has kids. She's a single mom. Blah, blah, blah. Crying you spilt milk, lady. You started this whole thing yourself. Now you have to deal with it.
Right. How many cups of coffee?
Joke.
How many cups of coffee did you have this morning?
Oh, I just had the most wonderful tea. Sweet, half unsweet. That's the caffeine for the afternoons when it's 100 degrees in Texas.
There you go.
No, but seriously, it is utterly absurd.
It is. And, we see this, and I'm going to call it out. This is happening in and it's not happening in all our Democratic cities. It is happening in our far left Democratic cities, where our politicians have given up on our police, but are still using our police as pawns in their agenda and trying to place blame on our police. When did our politicians start siding with anarchists instead of our law-abiding citizens? This is a problem that is going to affect so many cities across the nation that are changing on a knee-jerk reaction. They're changing policy and procedure and not looking at the full picture. And later on in the show, guys, we have an amazing guest, Todd Nunley.
Just call him Todd.
Todd.
Yeah.
Todd, who's got 32 years experience. He's an expert in use of force.
As in, he went to court and testified.
Right. He's an expert witness in use of force and de-escalation. And I read a couple of things today. Instead of defunding and dismantling our police department, let's train them a little better. Let's show them how we can de-escalate. Let's show them things that could may use as options other than deadly physical force at that moment. There's always the deadly physical force can go from 0 to 60 in a minute, in a second. But let's look at some other options as well. In Berkeley, California, they are taking the jobs. They're taking a job away from pulling cars over, car stops. They're putting that on a civilian population, on a Department of Public Works or whatever it is, to pull over cars. Car stops are one of the most dangerous jobs.
Yeah, vehicle stops and domestics.
That's why.
Right?
That's why cops train to do felony car stops. And people are going, well, we're just going to have these guys pull over if they go through a red light. Well, you don't know if that guy's got a warrant, if he's got drugs, he's got guns in his car, if he just committed the murder. He's going to take somebody out.
Right.
We learned this week, sadly to say, that if we listen to our politicians, we are going to get killed. And in New York, Eric Adams, borough president of Brooklyn, told their community, do not call the cops if you hear illegal fireworks. Go out and tell them to stop.
Right.
Right? So, what does the public do? This woman, and her boyfriend say, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to listen to the politicians because obviously they're correct in everything they do. And I'm going to go out, and there's a bunch of young kids shooting off fireworks outside my apartment in East New York, Brooklyn. So I'm going to walk down there and tell them, hey, politicians told me not to call 911, but I'm going to tell you to stop. Well, she did tell them to stop, and they loaded her with lead. They shot her several times killing her and injuring her boyfriend.
Yep.
All right. So where does the blood of that woman lie? It lies on that politician who gave false information, who put this woman in a risky position because she trusted her politician.
Yeah, well, look, we talk about this a lot on and off the air. That I think you were on a show and I was like madly scrambling, texting and everything. That when you involve politicians in the matters of whether it's tactical use of force or internal police policy, that's when stuff gets screwed up. Okay, there is a place for politicians as it relates to the policing, and it's not in internal policies and procedures.
Because they go by the bottom line and whatever looks good on paper.
Well, because they want the votes.
Right, exactly.
So I'd like to challenge people out there to really look at the politicians, look at the decisions that they're making, examine the decisions that they're making, and decide for yourself, are they good or bad for you, the individual who lives in the city in which you live?
Right.
I would venture a guess, if you're a small business owner and your store has been looted multiple times, depending on the city that you're in, to side with the politician who's doing everything in his or her power to make sure they get reelected instead of doing everything in their power to protect you
as a business owner,
the voting citizen. Come on, folks. You got to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And if you're ticked off and you're not happy with what's going on,
connect the dots, like you say.
Well, yeah, connect the dots. But like I said, bring people that can make a difference in your community together. We all know that change starts at the grassroots level. Change does not happen with politicians.
No,
okay?
No.
Sorry to burst everybody's bubble out there. Wrong answer. It starts at the grassroots. And when we're talking about major reform, which, having a police department or not, I would say that's major reform.
That's right.
It is, like I said, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. It's not based on emotion. The politicians cannot be involved. You need business leaders in the community who want a strong community. If you don't have a strong community, you really don't have anything.
Well, going on strong community, and this really brought a lot of stuff into perspective in my book. You said it on the top, when we started off the show. 14 people plus a 3-year-old shot in Chicago last night.
No, 17.
17.
17 and 49 police officers injured.
Oh, no. But there were 14 people shot in a drive-by shooting at a funeral home in Chicago last night. About 4 blocks away from there, a father is at a gas station. He gets into an argument with somebody. They fire shots at his car. They shoot his 3-year-old who was sitting in the car seat. So the commissioner went on, the police commissioner or police chief, whatever he was, went on, and he really put things into perspective. He said and this is the right number. There is 117,000 known gang members, connected gang members in Chicago. 117,000 gang members identified in Chicago, which breaks down to 2,500 different sets. And for those who don't know what a set is a group of individuals who identify as a gang. So you have 2,500 different sets, 117,000 identified gang members. So I decided to Google how many law enforcement officers were in Chicago. And there's 12,000. Mm-hmm. Do the math.
Right.
Who's running that city? Who are the store owners afraid of? Because I'm sure these gang members are extorting...
Yeah, not the police.
Right. They're extorting the store owners. They're extorting the residents in Chicago for a piece of property. And Mayor Lightfoot Beetlejuice gets on the air and turns around and says, This is such a tragic incident, horrible. Somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. Somebody's got to tell us who did this. No one's going to say that.
No one's going to volunteer.
No one's going to volunteer that information. No one's going to. There's 117,000 gang members against 12,000 cops. Who are they getting protection from?
Well, they're not even against 12,000 cops because the mayor told the police to stand down. So you've got the same thing in New York and Chicago going on.
Right. So
you tell your police force to stand down. It's open season on everybody, including innocent civilians.
Correct. And we've seen it over and over. We're seeing it on the videos. We're seeing the unprovoked attacks throughout the cities. These shootings just aren't going to stop. And, let me tell you something. Being a cop in New York City, the shootings really started to happen in July and August. And you know what? We're not even there yet.
Right.
And so, we're still up 277% in shootings.
Yeah, so who do you hold responsible? Because when
De Blasio.
I'll say when times were different, pre-COVID, we'll say, of course, people would be looking to their mayor.
Right.
Like, what is?
Well,
what
you need a mayor to have control.
What's going on here? So why would the citizens look to the mayor when the mayor has thrown everybody to the wolves?
Right. And deflects any personal blame.
Right.
You know what?
Yeah.
I mean, I got no love for De
Living in
Blasio
a dream
whatsoever.
world is
Right.
what
I got no love for him, that man whatsoever. But you know what? I would have probably about if you go to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Right. You go to the bottom of the ocean.
I haven't been, but I hear it.
No. But say you go to the deepest part of the ocean, right? And there's a snail. Right.
Okay.
And then you flip that snail over, and it got that slime.
Yeah.
Right. And then you dig down a little bit. And you grab this much, and you grab this much sand. I would have that much respect for De Blasio if he just took blame for something, instead of deflecting it all on COVID or Trump or the police department or something.
Well, it's so much easier, to blame somebody else, and that I think the whole lack of personal responsibility is what it's what makes you and I different from a lot of people. Is that, hey, if we screw up, we're going to tell you we screwed up. There's a lot of things that I didn't do right in not only in my law enforcement career, not breaking rules or anything like that. And in hindsight, is like, God, why didn't I just God, that was stupid, Well, and so you take as one of my favorite mentors and podcasters, Jocko Willink, always says, extreme ownership.
Right.
There is not 1 ounce of that extreme ownership that exists in any politician right now. President, I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. Y'all are messed up.
And we are pawns. We are chess pieces.
We are.
We are chess pieces.
So we should be the most invested in creating the change that we would like to see. I mean, I'm not talking about fringes. When I start seeing signs popping up at protests about cows being raped for cheese, I mean, come on.
You saw a sign of a cow being raped for cheese? What town were you in?
A young man it was at a protest holding a sign that says, stop.
Rape a cow for cheese.
Stop, treating our livestock, whatever. And it says, you rape cows for cheese. I'm like, come on. You can't make this up every day. Come on. I don't have to turn on the TV. I just look at my phone and I don't start my day like that.
If I was a vegetarian, I would get that on a t-shirt because I really like that.
I mean, it is turned into such a joke, and I'm not making light of the situation that is out there. We have a racial divide in this country, and if you haven't connected the dots, it was done on purpose. Okay,
yeah. We
are in the place that we're in on purpose by the powers that be, and I'm not talking about the White House. Okay, we are there. We are in this place for a reason, and like I said, if we do not step back and get a hold and separate, these are the violent protesters, Antifa, those that want to overthrow any form of government, so all the way down to the local level,
right?
Versus business owners, community supporters over here. And we need to separate. And it's tough because it's like, we'll go back in the ocean. And all the fish are swimming together, and you've got to try and, no, fish, you're over here, and you're over here, and you got to figure out,
and that's that's a perfect point, because, they keep telling us that, well, the cops are shooting grenades and they're shooting beanbags at peaceful protesters. Nobody's wearing a shirt that says I'm peaceful. No one's saying a shirt that says I'm not peaceful or I'm anarchist. If we look at what just happened in Washington with those peaceful protesters throwing frozen water bottles at federal officers who are trying to
restore order, basically.
Actually, they were there just to protect the monument.
The monument, right.
Christopher Columbus.
Right.
And are those peaceful protesters throwing frozen bottles of water and bricks and sharpening spears out of PVC? No. But you know what? We, as a cop, as a law enforcement officer out there, you cannot tell who is peaceful one moment and who is going to be an anarchist the next, because everybody's blending in. We have seen peaceful Black Lives Matter protests, and they go off without a hitch. Their voices are heard. They walk peacefully. They do their thing.
They walk with the police.
Right, and they disperse. They have a leader who brings value to the protest. He's the one who says, hey, this is how we want change. And he speaks. He doesn't curse at people. He speaks and says, I really want to bring change. And those are the people you listen to.
Right.
Those are the that's why there's a difference between Black Lives Matter, the movement, and people who really truly believe in that Black Lives Matter and want to get this culture changed. And you know what? Everybody is for that. Everybody is for that little culture change and upgrade in training and not losing people in the streets. But it's these anarchists, the Antifas, and the radical left that is changing the conversation.
That are being paid. Let's call it what it is.
Yep, being paid, and has all of our politicians pandering to them. I mean, we have sports people pandering to them because they are afraid that there's going to be more looting or burning down or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Well, look at some. As Steve just said, how Portland. Look at what's going on in Portland.
Yeah.
I mean, 8 weeks of your city under siege.
Right.
I'm pretty sure the upstanding citizens and business owners in Portland didn't sign up for this.
No.
And it's another
example.
example.
Would you pay your taxes?
It's another example. Thank you. It's another example of a mayor gone. I don't know. Rogue, I think, is an insult to the word rogue.
Well,
Sorry. I mean, how do you even? When I see this, I think in my head, okay, how do I make sense of it, and how do I see her side? Like how I can't. I'm having a really difficult time, and I don't think I have at this point a bias built in because I'm not law enforcement anymore. I can't make sense of any of her decisions, and then
because they're not rational.
To be warned by the commander-in-chief of this country, okay? And let me tell you something. I don't care who is in office. You will respect the office of the President of the United States.
Right.
I have zero tolerance nor patience for anybody that does not respect the office. You want to say and think whatever you want about the human being that's sitting in the chair, whatever. You don't disrespect the office.
Respect the office.
So to be given an order to get a hold of your city, or you leave me with no choice but to send in federal agents, because at this point, the angry mob, the very violent mob. I mean, if I read one more story about this mob being peaceful, I'm going to throw up.
There was film of them trying to break into the federal building and ripping off boards and starting fires.
Exactly. So they're already after the federal. So, yeah, okay, so that's why the feds are there, because federal building.
It's their building. Right.
It's not that hard of a jump for, I think, 90% of humanity that have brains to understand, oh, it's a federal building.
Right.
That's why the feds are there. They've crossed over that line. She clearly doesn't care about the people of Portland.
No.
I don't care what color you are. She does not care about you. She doesn't care about the city. Because if you care about your city, why would you want it burned to the ground?
Okay. Well, you're on that point.
You're telling the feds that they can't stage now at
firehouses?
Yeah.
See.
Oh my God! It's like a joke, and you know the firefighters are like,
right.
Say what?
Right. But here, this is how when you always say connect the dots. Okay. I don't know when you can't understand the irrational thinking of some of these political mayors and governors. It's like someone flipped a switch. Like when you remember Men in Black, watching Men in Black, right?
I was a wib. That's what people called me,
All right, so a wib.
When I was on the job, because I wore dark suits and the sunglasses.
And they showed the big screens when he's like, oh, I knew my third grade teacher was an alien, and they show a couple of different stars that are aliens. Right. It's like somebody flipped a switch and said, okay, let the terror cells begin. And all of these infiltrated mayors, because who, as a politician, who in their right mind would disregard federal help to save your city? Who in their right mind would say, no, I don't want you here to help my police force?
Well, she's saying it loud and clear.
So there's something higher than this. This is something way above our pay grade that we are not seeing. They are using our police force as pawns. The real people who are victims are our police officers who are out there battling this because they have zero.
And the innocent people caught in the crossfire, dying, kids.
There is zero direction for our officers. They're going to work. One day they're told to do this. Next day they're told that you can't do this. Next day they're going to go get arrested for this. You can't touch him. If he hits you with a baseball bat, you got to say you're sorry.
If he breaks your kneecap,
right, you can't do anything. Yeah. So, what I'm seeing, and if we continue down this path, the summer is going to be a lot worse. And what's going to happen is a lot of these cops are going to say, "Screw this, I'm done," and they're going to walk out. And until our law-abiding citizens raise their voices and speak up and come out of your hiding place, get your friggin' head out of the sand, back these law enforcement officers, back your first responders, you are going to have nobody to help you. 911 is going to be a past entity.
Yeah, you're going to be calling some other number.
Right. You don't know.
Right.
And I truly believe that there are more law-abiding citizens out there that are watching this stuff on the news, going, those poor officers that are out there, they're fighting for to try to keep some sort of social justice.
And they're afraid.
And they're afraid. And they're afraid because they know if they come out and speak up, the politicians that they have elected will not even back them up.
Right. It's a horrible place to be in, to be somebody who signed up to protect and serve the community, and to have to go to work and not know who in the community, number one, has their back.
Right.
Have to have eyes in the back of their head. And, we talk about hypervigilance. We talk about post-traumatic stress. There is almost a breaking point for the officers. Somebody corrected me. Mayor of Portland is Ted Wheeler. I guess it's the governor of, whomever. We're talking about the woman who's been in the news. Anyway, we're talking about what that looks like. And when you are in this kind of situation where there is no downtime, you have no rest, you have no ability to compartmentalize, to put understanding behind what you're doing. all you're doing is running on emotion and adrenaline because you signed up for something that somebody else is preventing you from doing at every step of the way. So in essence, you're handcuffed, and certain politicians and people in the communities love it because it's like, oh, well, now you know how we feel, which is a total crock. Okay. And, it's to the point where I can't really say anything but leave.
Well,
you will have, just like the veterans have, a support system, that will find alternate employment, that will help you, keep your life together. This is an outright just attack on civil society, an outright attack on civil society. And I know that there are still civil people living in communities that care about something.
But they're scared.
Right.
They're scared.
There comes back full circle to the agenda that we alluded to in the very beginning of the show.
Right. Now, when we look at that, and I just want to just back up a minute to what you were talking about when we get into hypervigilance. And, I remember 9/11. For months and months and months, everybody who was on that pile digging and working and focusing on a job that job task, right? Mm-hmm. They were in work mode, right? We've seen a lot of our 9/11 heroes who have taken their own life after the fact because they crashed after those months and months and months of being on the pile. And all that stress, all that trauma from that was trauma.
Yeah, they had no
digging,
outlet.
right?
Yeah.
No, they worked continuously for hours and hours and hours. And then months later, they became victims of their own mental health and took their lives. We are seeing that same thing happen to our law enforcement officers, and we are going to have devastating effects once this, whatever is going on, ends. And we are going to see cops,
firefighters,
every
first responders,
EMS, first responders.
Yeah.
We are going to see uptick in suicides. We're going to see uptick in spousal abuse. We're going to see an uptick in addiction. It's not a pretty sight. They are, you're a dog lover. I'm a dog lover, right? If you went home every day, and I know you would never do this, and please don't ever think this is just a metaphor, I guess. If you went home and you beat your dog every single day, right? It's going to be beaten into submission. Right. But one day, guess what? That dog is going to come at you.
Maybe.
Because he's had enough of being beaten.
Right.
Right? He had enough. What's going to happen is that's what these cops are being beaten every day. Yeah. Every single day. And it's going to just, one day, you're going to get a cop that's going to snap. And I don't know what the effects are going to be. They're going to be devastating. And it's not because of his actions. He wanted to do these actions. Mm-hmm. It's because we've pushed our police department to the point of no return. They're human beings. They're not robots. They're human beings with mental health, normal mental health.
Right. Well, they are already at the breaking point in certain cities. And in New York, it's broken because we have, now they're limiting the number of officers that can put in the retirement papers. So it's already broken.
Right.
Any city that has disbanded and defunded their police department is broken. So the agenda in those cities has, in essence and in a small part, succeeded because they've taken that. For under the guise of race relations, which goes back to George Floyd the end of May. I hope people can see that we are way past that
Yeah.
in what is occurring in the United
Right.
States
This ain't about change
right
anymore.
now. This is not about change. This is pure anarchy. And I know that there are groups working, faith-based groups, lots of grassroots groups, coming together, being strong, getting communities involved, pointing out, hey, we can't support this, meaning the violence anymore. We need to come up with something that we can get out there to help change. So there are good men and women and even kids out there that are working for change. But, let's make no bones about it. The agenda was to break certain cities, and they have.
Now, the theme of the show today is, with defunding the police department. And we're going to have Todd on to talk about
and why
and
why
why.
they want. Well, it comes back to training.
Right.
They need to be trained better.
You're a special
thanks.
person.
Thank you.
Being on
I
both
think you're a special person too.
being on both sides of being a federal agent, and then going into law enforcement on a state level.
Local level, where I wrote policy for training,
Right. What, because I heard a lot of things today on the difference in training and the way the feds train their officers and the way state and local authorities train their officers. You were able to see the difference. Did you see a major difference? Do you think that we should have a national standard across the board on training? And should training not end at the academy? Should it be yearly? Should it be, I'm talking about self-defense training.
Yeah, you just touched on the key aspect. Somebody's saying the number doesn't work, John. I don't know. The number that you put, the phone number, I don't know. So here,
it's 214-556-6239. I don't know why our lines wouldn't be working.
So anyway, try and call back in.
Hold on, maybe the Skype is not on, but I'll try to fix it right now.
Okay. So here's the deal with training. And we're not even going to get to, does there need to be a national standard, that kind of thing, because across the entire board, whether you're federal, state, whether you're local, state, or federal, law enforcement agencies do not have built in to their training
we're getting a phone
protocols.
Call. Hold on.
They don't have the repeat.
Right.
They don't have the in-service.
Welcome to Mad Radio. You are on the air. Hello?
This is Joe.
There we go. It's Joe.
Hello?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
How you doing? This is Joe Morrow.
Oh, Joe.
Sorry, it took me a while to get in, but I finally got in.
Hey, Joe. How you doing? Joe Morrow from Omega Gamma Delta fraternity. We were discussing this on the 99 a little bit. When we talk about back in the blue, Sam, he is one of the vice presidents over in the Frisco chapter, and he is running a big event to help support Back the Blue,
which we will be at.
This one's in Frisco. This one, we will be there. That's right, we will be there. Joe, tell us a little bit about that event, real quick.
Sure, I'd love to, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's going to be it'll be 2 weeks, Thursday, July 30th. Thursday, July 30th. We're staging at the Toyota Stadium at 9200 World Cup Way. That's in Frisco, in the South Sienna Blue parking lot. And we're going to get there at about 3 o'clock. We'll have a food truck there. We'll have people there to show you where to line up. We'll also have decals that you can purchase. We have thin blue line flags that will be available as well. And we're going to take off from that parking lot at 4:30 sharp. And here's a very interesting fact I'm just going to throw in here. I think it kind of encompasses what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to make a political statement. This is not a Trump rally. This is not a Biden rally. This has nothing to do with politics. And I want to stress that. I'm not going down there to support a political leader or to make an agenda. I'm going down there to support the guys who are out there every day getting their veins blown out because of what's going on in this so-called movement, which has gone awry, in my opinion. So what I'm trying to do is tell the Frisco police and police all around the country, hey, guys, thank you for what you're doing. This is all we're trying to do. We appreciate you. We want you on the job, and we know it's tough right now, but we're behind you.
You know,
Joe, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You bring up such a great point, because what we were talking about before, you know, police officers today that are on the job are not allowed to speak up. Their voices can't be heard. So on duty. Mm-hmm. But even off duty, they are not. They are being silenced, because we wanted to have a certain group on the 99, the Blue Knights. We wanted to have them on the Blue, but they could not. They couldn't come on. They couldn't speak about anything. So on or off duty, they cannot go publicly and speak about things that are going on with fear of retaliation. So what Joe's doing, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, Joe, but this is going to be the voice of the police department. That's why its support from the community is so important, because we can be their voice.
Right. We have to be their voice, but isn't it interesting here? It's another example of our First Amendment. It's okay to burn down cities, to loot in the name of the First Amendment, because that's what they're using, even though we know it's illegal.
As a guise.
Yeah. So you can't commit arson in the name of First Amendment. Nope, sorry, that doesn't work. But these cities are letting them do it. And so now we've got, the powers that be have their thumb on our men and women as first responders. Nope, can't speak out. Oh, I don't remember signing anything in my contract that takes away my First Amendment, other than not to comment on an ongoing investigation. Which
correct.
Right.
Now,
Joe, did you sign away your First Amendment rights?
No. I don't remember.
I remember taking an oath to uphold the Constitution
to support and defend our Constitution.
Right. That's the oath that I took as a Fed, and then the local levels is a little bit different. But
we're still holding that oath.
Right. We are. So again, I'm asking people to take a step back. So having the thumb from any level, whether it's coming from your chief, which who's ordering the chief around.
Right.
No, we can't do that.
We can't allow this happen.
So we as a community have to come out, and thank you so much, Joe, for doing this, to say it's not okay that you're keeping these folks silent.
Right.
We are going to speak up for them. We are going to support them. We are going to let them know that this city is not going to defund us, not going to defund you, because we want you here.
Now, Joe, Frisco.
Well, there's not a day that goes by online that the National Back the Blue doesn't have, 60, 80 officers thanking me, either private messaging me or thanking me on my wall for what we're doing. And we understand that. We understand they can't get out there and go, hey, how about us? So you know what? We're going to do it. So this started as me watching TV, watching cities burn down, watching the chaos, watching my world as I know it crumbling, and saying, what the hell are they talking? What are they doing? What are we doing as a society? We're going to have a parade for them. How about that? How about if we say, no, we don't agree with that. That's not the way most of us are. I mean, it's absolutely going crazy out there, as you guys know. And I think we need to stand behind them more than ever. I mean, we always do, obviously, but more than ever.
Absolutely.
So I just put this on Facebook as, we ought to have a Back the Blue parade. And I got hundreds of responses the first day, and now it's evolved to this an event. We've got Toyota Stadium and FC Dallas involved. I've got my good friends at RPM Construction putting their 18-wheel show truck. It's an 18-wheel red, white, and blue flag truck they use for major parades. But let me get back to the parade, because this is important. When I was looking for an escort service, a motorcycle escort service, to bring us from point A to point B so we didn't have to stop at lights and get broken up, because the police really can't do that for this kind of deal. I looked for an African-American escort service specifically. And I called this guy, and I said, listen, I want to know if you'd be interested, and here's what we're doing, A, B, C, and D. And his name is Lee Pope with DFW Motorcade Safety. And he said, Joe, I'll do it for free.
Wow.
So this is not about color. It's not about politics. This is about people. It's about things are going awry, and it's about putting them straight. This gentleman, Mr. Pope, said, "I'll do it for free." He's sending down his African American officers to escort us in a parade to thank the police. How about that?
That's amazing. That's honorable. That's amazing. But Joe, let me ask you another question because I don't know Frisco politics too well. And each community is defunding in a certain way. What is the tempo in Frisco area about the board with the Frisco police? Are they in favor? Are they looking to defund? Are they looking to make cuts? Have you heard anything?
I have heard nothing negative with Frisco Police Department as it pertains to laying off or defunding or anything like that. I think by and large our community is kind of sheltered from what's going on. We live in a bubble, I would say, in Frisco. We're not getting the riots and the burning buildings and all that stuff, but we're still seeing it,
right.
and we're still living through it, and we still have to leave our bubble. But the Frisco police have been, by and large, and always have been, just an intricate part of this neighborhood and a part of our neighborhood and a great part of it. We do all we can with Omega Gamma Delta nationally and in our chapter, which is Delta Beta, to support them. When they had the officers shot downtown Dallas, we went on a bridge with a banner saying we back the police.
Yes.
We just felt the urge to do something. And doing nothing just doesn't work anymore, as we can tell. If we do nothing, everyone else is going to be heard, and not us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just it.
So we're going to take off. I'm sorry?
More people have to get their head out of the sand. That's what has to happen. And like Joe, you raising your hand and raising your head up and saying no more. Kind of a Norma Ray moment. And that's great. No, that's how it's got to be. And we have to have more of that throughout the nation. We have to have more people like Joe just turn around and go, no, we're going to celebrate our police. We're not going to defund them. We're going to be there and have their back. We're going to support them. Because when we talk about post-traumatic stress, if we do not give these cops a morale boost, we're going to lose them.
Yeah, for sure.
I often, John, I'll have one or two critics on Facebook, with the invite I put out there for the Frisco Back the Blue Parade on the 30th, Thursday, and they'll say, well, blah, 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 something negative. And I'll say, listen, if somebody's trying to break into my house, are you going to come over and help me?
Right.
If somebody's got a gun to my head, are you coming over? Then shut up.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so for people that you're not connected with on Facebook, anybody can go to Facebook and in the search bar at the top, I want to be very specific so people find it. What is the exact event that they search for?
You know what? As we're saying that, I would give them my name, but let me see if I can do this. Frisco Back the Blue. Let me see if that works. Back the Blue. Sorry, I've just been Back the Blue. I've just been forwarding it, and I've really not put the link because I've been just copying. Yes, if you go to Frisco Back the Blue, it'll be the top event. So far, we have 388 people. That's a lot of cars.
Excellent.
Thursday, July 30th, we take off at 4:30, get there at 3 o'clock. We have actually a couple of news agencies that's interested in this, local and national. We'll have the police escort take us from the parking lot at the Toyota Stadium. We'll go to City Hall where the mayor and his employees and staff will come out and give us a wave. From there, we'll go to the Frisco Police Department, which is on Parkwood. And the police chief will be out there, and we've timed this so it's a shift change. We'll have a lot of officers out there to thank us as well. Then we go across the street to Frisco High School, where the police chief is going to come over and thank us and say some words.
Okay, and
so it shouldn't take a lot of time out of your day, but it's worth it.
This is all we're going to be in our vehicles, so just
I just want to let people
don't freak out. Don't freak out. You said 300 people. Folks, you're in your own car. You're not going to be walking next to somebody.
And if you feel like walking next to somebody, put a mask on, social distance.
We'll be leaving them if we're driving.
Right. Use your own COVID responsibility protocol.
Right. But
That's right. Everyone will be in their own car. There's no need to even get out of your car. We'll point to where you get in line. We'll give you, if you want to get a flag or if you want to get a decal, great. I'm even bringing window paint. So if you want to paint something on your window, bring your American flags, bring your slogans, bring your signs. Thank you, Frisco Police. Thank you, police in general. And get in our caravan and make a difference. Don't sit home. Do what I do. Get pissed off and do something.
All right.
Love it. Grassroots, right?
Joe, we will see you on the 30th. We will be there. Thank you for Back in the Blue. Thank you for putting this wonderful event in Frisco together. And Mad Radio will be out there to support you as well.
And I thank you guys for doing what you did. And always remember, Omega Gamma Delta. Thank you.
Brother. Take care. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, that's so awesome. So to see, there you go. There's one example of what I'm talking about, is giving a voice to those that, don't right now, and that's our first responders. So
right. So when we take a quick break, let me just I got to figure that. Got everything all messed up here. Okay. Yeah, I got to take a quick break. We gotta and then we're gonna probably have Todd calling in about 5 after.
Right on time.
Right on time.
Right
Excellent.
at the top of the hour.
All right. So this is the Mad Radio Show, the award-winning Mad Radio Show with John and Sam.
Yeah.
Ooh, like that. We are broadcasting you from the Globe Life Park, the Fishbowl Radio Network studios, and we are back in the blue today, and we're going to learn how and why we should not defund the police right after this.
You know what the fuck going on? In the Lima chopper, the top shot, you hear me? I stand on top of shit.
That's what was on.
Hey, this is Cheryl, host of the Cheryl Boggs Show, Resting in His Word, broadcasting live each week on Mondays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time from FBRN Studios at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Log on to hear from gospel recording artists, authors, segments, and most of all, finding rest in the Word of the Lord. So be sure to log on each week on Mondays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time to catch the Cheryl Boggs Show, Resting in His Word
on FishbowlRadioNetwork.com.
Jump in.
Hi, this is S. Doc Sherry. On July 25th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., we'll be at Arlington Life Shelter distributing out personal care items to those in need. Come out and join us.
We're asking you to come on out and get your needs fulfilled.
Saturday, July 25th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time at the Arlington Life Shelter. Come on out, support the Ask Doc Sherry Show as we help support the community.
Arlington Life Shelter is located at 325 West Division Street, Arlington, Texas. Come by if you're in need. We got a bag for you.
God bless you.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
FBRN.US. Fishbowl Radio Network. Jump in.
Every month in America, a police officer takes his or her own life, leaving behind a family, friends, and fellow officers. This is our message to you.
Each year, we lose more officers to suicide than by any other means. This is a preventable national tragedy. Officers are not alone. I will listen.
My brothers and sisters struggle in silence. I will listen.
The loss of an officer tears us all apart. I will listen.
Remember, you're not alone. I will listen.
These officers have been lost, but not forgotten. End the stigma from seeking help today.
We will listen.
Powerful message, man. Welcome back to the Mad Radio Show, broadcasting live from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios. That last ad, man, from Blue Help is just so powerful to all our first responders throughout the nation. And you know what? And me and Sam have taken the Blue Help pledge to say we will listen as well. At any given time, any day, any hour, we will listen. And we are here for you all the time. So welcome back, man. Sam, what do you think about you see it on the news as well, all the Back the Blue events that are going on throughout the nation. Do you think this is, without these events, do you think it's helping our law enforcement officers throughout the country to see this, to turn on the news and see 4,000 people here, 5,000 people there, 300 people here from different communities holding up signs of support? That's got to be a great morale booster, right?
That's the light of hope, It's like you have a candle and it's ready to go out, and then somebody breathes life back into you, and it is about giving hope to our men and women out there that are in first responder roles, because like we just spoke about the last hour, that there is an agenda not only to keep them silent but to strip them of what they signed up to do, which is serve the community. And when you go to work and you're not allowed to do your job to the best of your ability, and everything that you learned about how to do your job, you're being told you cannot do any of that. I mean, it's a total, I like to say, mind screw.
Yeah.
So that gets that weighs heavily, and it goes to morale, and it goes to motivation, just being motivated to get out of bed and go do your job. And so it's very important, and we are seeing Back the Blue rallies across the U.S., different cities, and we need to keep it going. And we had touched on one of the things before we took the phone call, which was training, and how they're not the police officers aren't even doing anything that they learned, so they're not even employing any of their training. And the key thing, and I think when Todd calls in, he'll back me up on this, is that when you do your year, your 6 months to a year training,
the academy training.
Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody's at the feds, it's a year. So after that, there aren't really very specific training protocols that continue.
Right. There's no hand-to-hand. There's no hand-to-hand or assailant training. You go to the range once a year.
Well, you have your firearms training, which is one subset, but you do have something called controlled tactics or combatives, whatever it's called at your department level. So you do go through, because you have to learn how to place somebody under arrest.
That's the academy.
Right. You learn all of that. Mm-hmm. After you're done, though, there's no reinforcement.
Right.
And I liken it to look at every other profession out there that has continuing education credits. Okay. Yeah. There needs to be more police officers hired so that you have, it's called in-service training. And we do it multiple times a year for firearms training. We don't do it for controlled tactics. That is a problem. Okay? Because if you have effective, ongoing, continuous training year after year after year in a vital skill as an officer. What? Hello? Did we miss that? I mean, it's a vital skill. We don't want to have to rely on our firearm. The last thing that, and any seasoned police officer will say to the new kid on the block, I hope you never have to pull your gun.
Right.
But if you do, we've trained you effectively to use it. Why have we not trained our folks effectively in the controlled tactics, which like I said, it's in-service training, which means we need to hire more police officers so that you can have a section roll into in-service and their shifts be covered.
See, and you know it as well as most of law enforcement knows it,
Right.
is controlled tactics continuously changes. You know, we learn new things, new procedures, new things on how to de-escalate. All right. So I was reading something today. I forgot what article it was. You know, the 15-year member on the job or the 18-year member on the job today has not done controlled tactics since the academy 18 years ago, when the culture was a lot different, when the policies and procedures were a lot different.
Or he or she might have, because you got a new piece of equipment.
Oh yeah,
So if
yeah,
there's a
okay,
new
yeah, right.
Piece of equipment,
right.
It's required that everybody do the in-service training. So they managed to figure out how to do that. Yet the departments have no, I don't want to say guidance, but these are the kind of things that I really don't think need a lot of thought. I don't know, because I say it all the time when it relates to stress. When we're under stress, when things are really crappy, when the adrenaline is pumping, we fall to the lowest level of our training.
Yes.
So what have we seen over and over and over again? Todd, what have we seen? Hey Todd, hang on one sec. What have we seen? Hey,
how you doing?
Good. Hang on one sec. What have we seen over and over and over again in all the videos? We have seen a suspect flipping cops over, and two at a time.
Right.
Okay, we've seen people getting away from that is control tactics 101. And if your training stopped 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what do you think?
The biggest problem
is going to wait? Hang on, Todd. Hang on, Todd.
Okay.
What do you think is going to happen out there on the street?
Right.
And then we have, now we got somebody else shot.
Well, we've seen it time and time again, and this is where the problem lies.
Yep.
Okay, because when you went through the academy, you were 180 pounds, full of piss and vinegar, right? You were working out every day.
Or 120, yeah.
Or 120. Well, I was 180.
You're taller than me.
You were working out every day. You were keeping in shape. You and the tactics were fresh in your head.
Right.
Okay. After 5 years, you start becoming a little bit round around the belly. Okay. Your stamina may not be as great because you haven't been working out, eating a couple of donuts, sitting in a patrol car, patrolling an area. 10 years goes by. Yeah, you really don't give a shit anymore, and your morale is down. You've been beat up on the streets. 15 years, you're ready. You're ready to get out. You're on the downhill slide.
You're checking your watch. You're checking the date.
Right.
What year? The calendar.
Right. You got 40 more pounds since the academy. Your vest is looking like a lobster bib, and you haven't fought somebody because all the young guys do it, but you don't remember how to do it. So guess what? You're going to get your ass kicked out on the street because you haven't trained for that day when something could happen.
Right.
So what's your only alternative besides a hand-to-hand combat or using controlled techniques is to grab your firearm because you're in fear for your life.
Right.
So
now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this right now, and John and I, it is just our absolute pleasure to welcome. We'll just use first name Todd.
Yep.
To the show. He is an expert in the use of force subject matter, which means he would go to court. He could be called and testify in court. Okay, so Todd is a leading, foremost expert. He's been in law enforcement for 30 plus years. He has trained law enforcement at every single level with what John and I are just talked about. Control tactics. It's called different things in different agencies. Maybe combatives. But the whole point is that. And Todd and I spoke the other day that, he saw it when he was an instructor, the need, and it was an ongoing need. So his job as an instructor was to go do this stuff. He also was responsible for selecting use of force instructors that met standards to teach
Well, that's another big thing. That's
right.
another big thing.
So, Todd has an extensive resume, just touching on a few things that he asked me to. He was with the Department of Justice, and he's been, he's done undercover work. He's been on tactical teams. Steve says I need to use the full words for people that Todd and I speak acronym. So use of force, including firearms, operational planning. Is it okay if I tell our audience how good of a shot you are? He can take you out from a mile. Let's just say he's got some
in
training.
High wind.
Yeah, in high winds. He knows how to have the shots called. So, Todd, welcome to the show. We are going to dive right in to this training aspect and the importance of, let's just say it. What happens if your mayor, your city council, what happens if you defund your police officer, your police?
Wow. Well, the first thing is defunding the police is a very relative term because it depends on who you're speaking to. In my opinion, when you are talking about defunding police, you're talking about dissolving law enforcement as we know it. And when you defund the police, if you don't dissolve the agency, you're going to continue to cut budgets and cut budgets and cut budgets. Well, guess where the very first area that they cut? It's going to be in training because that is always the first area in law enforcement that they cut in their budgets.
Right. And that's the most dangerous thing that can happen for any department.
Yes, it is. It is the most dangerous. And then these people on the street are complaining about law enforcement and what they're doing now. Well, cut their budget and then see what happens. You think it's bad now? It's going to get worse.
Yeah. Now, could you imagine, put yourself back into the trainer role because Todd's retired now, and you have a department who has decided to use social workers to, help de-escalate and do, what traditional police work looks like. So you're the trainer, you're walking into a class, and now I'm not taking anything away from social workers because they fill an extremely vital role in our communities.
Yeah,
extremely.
oh yeah.
But from a training standpoint, go. What?
Oh, it's horrible. That's one of the worst things that you can do. If you're, that will go as long until the first person that gets shot and killed, that's a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't see that happening, being a very long span either. I think it's going to happen really fast.
They are
what they're doing is they're putting a person out there who's the sacrificial lamb, and who wants to be that sacrificial lamb, especially when you're going there with no firearm or a way or a means to defend yourself.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
So,
and I was just about to say, we are putting untrained personnel into a very, very dangerous situation. And if I may elaborate on that for 1 second, Todd, Berkeley, California just took away car stops from the police department. Another dangerous task that requires extensive training to complete.
And they put in who to do that?
They're putting in their Department of Public Works to make car stops. They do not want Berkeley police making car stops. Another violent, extensive training need is it baffles my mind.
How do you
I
teach?
can't even speak.
How do you teach as a trainer? How would you teach that hypervigilance, that situational awareness to the social worker who's going to need it and that public works person? I'm not being sarcastic here, folks. It's a legitimate question because this is what's happening in cities already. So as a trainer, how would you do that, Todd?
Well, the problem is that for law enforcement, and let's start off there, for law enforcement, you put them in reality-based training or scenario-based training for a purpose. And what that does is it inoculates that officer to stress. So now what, you're going to put some social worker out there or put them in a training environment in a stress environment to inoculate them to stress, and what are they going to do to defend themselves? I mean, they have no means whatsoever to defend themselves in the event that a person attacks them. I mean, it's absurd. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, some of the things I heard, Todd, and I don't know if you heard the same things, but bring that point of if things get violent, right? This is what a lot of social workers are being told, that go handle the situation. If things get violent, retreat to a safe location and call the police. Now, I don't know who makes these rules up, but sometimes you cannot retreat. Sometimes you don't have the ability to get away from that situation. Are we, like you said, sacrificial lamb? Where's he get? Is there going to be accountability held on these people that are putting these innocent lives in danger? I mean, a social worker didn't sign up for this.
Social worker doesn't know what the fatal funnel is.
The Department of Transportation didn't sign up to make car stops. You know, social workers didn't plan on going to the tunnels of New York City to pull out violent homeless junkies. You know, this is not going to work. We're going to see a lot more people getting hurt.
No, it will not work. And part of the problem too is, let's say that the person they're dealing with just murdered a family. Mm-hmm. In which there are cases where a person who has a mental illness did commit murder many times. I mean, we don't have to look very far. I mean, do a Google search; it's on there. But
turn someplace on today's page, newspaper.
Yes, and then now what? You're going to let this person either one escape, or two, that person's going to threaten that social worker, and now he's going to barricade himself into a residence or a home. And now you've got a whole other issue. Now you've got a barricaded suspect that you're going to have to deal with, and then you have to call out the SWAT team to deal with that person.
Right. Or you're going to have a hostage situation because you didn't know how to separate people, or
situation in the first place.
Right. You didn't know how to separate people. You didn't get to read the lay of the land. You didn't get to read the body language. That all comes with experience. You can't do that.
Yes, it does.
You know, and let me just touch on another thing with Mayor Giuliani. When I was in New York, you know, everybody criticized him because turnstile jumpers, right? They would go, "Oh, it's only $1.35. They're jumping. Why are cops even bothering with this?" Do you know how many guns undercover cops took off people who jumped? They caught felony warranted murderers who were jumping turnstiles.
Exactly.
To save $1.35. Exactly. So the smallest crime could be the biggest crime, just undercover.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's a whole other topic that we could talk for hours on, because now when you start talking undercover officers, you know, I know in my previous agency, we had a number of them that were either ripped, and by that I mean they pull a gun on them and try to rip them off from their money, not knowing that they're an undercover law enforcement officer.
Right.
And then it ends up in a shootout. So what, now you put a social worker out there doing the things that law enforcement is? I mean, it's completely absurd and makes no sense whatsoever.
So let's talk about a very important thing, because, you know, I hate to kind of throw the bathwater out with the baby, or whatever, however that saying goes.
No, you said it right.
Okay. Baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
There are cities, you know, Minneapolis being one of them, that seems to be, you know, it's lost for all intents and purposes. And the law enforcement agencies that are still intact, that want to do the right thing, that we clearly understand from the peaceful protesters exercising, you know, their First Amendment rights and shining a light on police brutality, You know, those of us that have been there, done that, moved on, and now get to play Monday morning quarterback for all intents and purposes, we clearly see where things could have been done differently, where departments could have trained differently. And what I want our listeners to understand is that is not a carte blanche, you know, reason. That does not give a politician carte blanche to say you didn't get the right training. You've got racist officers doing horrible things, and so we're just not going to have you be able to do anything anymore. Versus, how do we stop this systemic violence that, call it what it is, violence that exists in police, perpetrated by a few bad apples, because they exist in every job.
Well, the best way to
bad apples, and get and help the politician. I mean, I don't even know if you can talk to the politicians, but help folks understand that it is actually more training that is needed.
The best way, comply.
Very much.
Just comply.
You know, I am a very big proponent, obviously, especially after being an instructor for so many years and continuing in that as an instructor. But I will say this, the vast majority, 99% of the officers out there are good people. They're squared away. They're trying to do their job in a legitimate manner. And there's, unfortunately, in every walk of life, and I don't care what it is, in every walk of life, you've got 1% that is the bad apples. You know, call it what it is.
Right.
And there shouldn't be the focus on the minority of those officers. It should be looking at the vast majority of these officers are doing an outstanding job and doing exactly what they're trained to do. Now, as far as training goes, I will say this. The quality of training is a big issue in law enforcement, and that's a topic that we can discuss for many hours. And then the quantity, not just, you know, obviously the quantity needs to be upped, but the quality of training needs to be better. It's not there. And in so many agencies, it's just not there. Now, when we start talking about combatives or control and arrest techniques in law enforcement, you've got guys who, as you said earlier, John, these officers, they come on board, they go through their basic training. Once they get out of there, they will never do any more training in combatives or control and arrest techniques until they retire. Right. And to me, that's sad.
Well, let me ask something. With you know, with all your years of training, and me and Sam have discussed this, don't you agree with a national standard for police training in combat, and not only a national standard, but a test every few years to make sure that you've kept your skills up?
How about every quarter?
Or every quarter,
or demonstrate shooting every quarter.
That you would have to demonstrate and pass those exams and pass the proficiencies every quarter.
Basically, show that you're not going to get your ass kicked.
Correct,
and you're not a liability.
And show that you really mean that. You know, show that you're all about the job. Right. You're all about de-escalation, and you're not out there just beating somebody with a nightstick. So I think you put the money into the national standard. You put into the money the testing, proficiency test, and like you said,
I think it's called a baton now.
Instead
of a nightstick.
A nightstick.
Extendable asp baton.
An asp.
So.
Well, you know what?
I used to twirl my wooden nightstick just like on night court.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. There has been an attempt to try to do a national standard. You've got certain programs out there that have been pushed. Some agencies went to that, and some of them didn't. But as with human beings, and I'll say this, I don't care what agency, what level you're at, whether it's local, county, state, federal, there's always those managers. And I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to anger some folks out there, but there's a big difference between managers and leaders in law enforcement, and there lies a big part of that problem. You've got these guys coming in that are managers, and they want to put their thumbprint and saying, oh, well, look what I did. They may not like a certain program, and I've seen this firsthand. They may not like a certain program, and they get rid of it and put something else in there, just so they can say that they did that.
Well, I mean, the ego runs everything, so we gotta learn some humility goes hand in hand with being a leader.
Right.
Very much so. And the leadership is, it's somebody you're supposed to look out for your people. And I've heard this comment made by a certain person in a management role who said that you manage your people by putting your foot on their throat. That is disgusting. And for anybody in law enforcement to make a comment like that, they should be removed immediately.
Right.
Well, there lies the problem. We're looking at bad patrol cops, right?
Yes.
And now we're it's like bad parenting. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If you have your leadership that is condoning these actions or not being progressive in new training and stuff like that, you can't expect a patrol or a beat cop to follow guidelines if his lieutenants or his captains or if his upper management is it's lead by example.
Right, exactly. They're going to do what they see you doing.
You look at the George Floyd case. How many times? I mean, these rookies, and some of them had a couple of years, but one guy only had like 4 days on a job. But how many times did they see Chauvin, abuse a criminal and felt, oh, that's normal.
Right.
Right? So maybe that's why they stood around, because maybe he does this all the time.
Well, look, we can we can debate whether or not Mr. Chauvin should even have been hired.
Right.
If you want to talk about police standards, what happened there? What standards were adhered to hire a police officer with such a questionable record in the first place? I mean, whoever hired him, okay, and like I said, that we're kind of going off on a tangent, that needs to be examined.
Yeah.
But bringing it back to training, something that I experienced firsthand in writing policy and creating training protocol in the department that I was in, was that these folks are represented by a union. And, just like the statement you made, I'm going to piss off a lot of people right now to say the union in this particular county that I was law enforcement in stood in the way of every policy we tried to enact, which made not only the officer's job safer for them, but also made it safer outcomes for public should they have to engage. Every single policy, right down to, you want to talk about national standards, we can't even agree that police officers need to be held to physical standards, like the military.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry, if you can't perform, and you, Todd,
right?
If you're rolling around with somebody on the ground, you didn't you haven't gotten any combatives training other than what you received in the academy, and you're now 10 plus years on the job, and now you're on the ground with that is not going to end well.
No, it's not. You have to maintain training because that is a perishable skill. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that goes for firearms. Okay, well then, if we're training in firearms, you're more likely to go hands-on with somebody than you are to shoot them. So why are we putting no emphasis whatsoever on any type of combatives or defensive tactics training for these officers out there? And this is completely absurd.
Right. So, but do you think that a big hurdle are the unions?
I would agree with you on that too.
Yeah. So how?
Yes, unions. Well, they are for obviously your local Local officers, your federal, obviously, Sam, we don't
have it. Right.
We could not do that. There was no way to have a union for your federal law enforcement officers like that. But yeah, I mean, as far as training, a lot of it will go back to lack of funding. Again, it's always the first area that's cut in law enforcement. Your lack of scenario-based training, your reality-based training. The training is kinder and gentler. Trying to put the kid gloves on somebody. And there's a time, and I will say this, and again, there are probably going to be some that won't like my comment, but yes, you treat people with respect and you are humble. And that is huge. A person should be humble because you've been given great responsibility to do this job. Mm-hmm. But if somebody gets in your face and if somebody wants to go to task with you and fight you, game on. Take the gloves off. Let's go.
All right, let me just stop you right there on that game on for a second. Do you think that we are creating an environment for our police officers that game on switch may get delayed, costing the officers his life because of what our politicians' standards are now with our police departments? I fear that.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I fear that one, and in the near future, an officer is going to be threatened. He's going to fail to engage quick enough, and it's going to cost him his life.
Well, I go back to the video, John, that you and I spoke about, and maybe you can refresh my memory. Todd, you may have seen this as well. The young female officer, she has her SUV, and she. There's a gentleman there who, I mean, it is clear as day. He's got a big knife in his hand, and he says, has to be a half a dozen times, "I'm going to kill you." Okay? Mm-hmm. She backs up in circles around and around and around and around and around her vehicle. Okay, moving backwards. You and I know there's no tactical backwards walking training. That we get. Have no idea where her backup was, by the way. I think that was my
she was the one that responded to the car accident. And this guy there was just an update on that, and I just read it the other day. They are trying to really kill this officer with because she is a marksman. She
ended up shooting and killing.
Yeah, but she's an expert marksman.
Well, good. I'm glad.
And that she did some model shoots, believe it or not.
Oh, like modeling in a magazine?
Modeling in a magazine, and she was top of her class in the academy, and now they're bringing all this stuff. They're trying to sue her.
They're attacking her character.
They're attacking her character, and they're saying, well, if she only shot him because she's an expert shot. She should have stupid. But you know what? There's lawyers out there that are picking this up.
She had a Coca-Cola with her lunch.
Yeah.
So the sugar made her hyper, and therefore she couldn't exercise proper judgment. Hello.
Right.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Now that the families found out that she was an expert marksman, because she shot the guy 6 times. She shot him twice. He went down. Right. She went to grab the weapon. He got back up.
Right. And we shoot to stop.
Right. She shot him 2 more times. He got back up to find out that this guy was on methamphetamines and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then finally she had to put 2 more into him after and finally he went down. But now they're saying she only did that because she's now they are using her training and her skills against her in this situation.
Well, that's what
she'll probably
that's what attorneys are paid
but
to do. I mean, I have my expert marksman, and Todd would put everybody to shame here, but with the shooting. But it's it is you're trained to stop the threat, and watching her move backwards over and over and over. I mean, I don't know, John. This is speculation here because we're not interviewing her.
Right.
Did you have in the back of your mind that if I decide to use my firearm, I may get in trouble. I mean, you have to imagine. I was not trained, that far. Todd. I know you were not trained, John. I know you were not trained. We do not retreat and go in circles around our car.
Right, you take
half a dozen times. You
try to take cover.
Threat.
Right, but you try to take cover, and I see what she was trying to do. She tried to take cover, but she really went too long. And I think that was part of what you just said was in her mind, because she didn't want to shoot him. She didn't want to go to that.
Right.
She didn't want to take it to the full extent.
Nobody wants
right.
to, but I mean, come on.
You know, she tried everything, and you could hear in her body cam video that she is given multiple commands.
To stop.
You know, you're looking at an EDP. He's an emotionally disturbed person. He's on amphetamines. He's on a whole bunch of other drugs. At that point, it's like Todd said, it's game on. You can't risk, because all she had to do was get caught up in her feet, trip. She would have been dead.
Well, that not only that, but what did you call it? EDP?
EDP.
Okay, that's not
person.
an acronym that I know. Now I know something new. I just learned something
new. That's a New York today,
Todd. EDP.
I don't know if you're still allowed to use those.
If he was an emotionally disturbed person, okay, he could have gone after anybody in that parking lot.
He did. He stabbed one other person.
See?
Because it was a car accident. And
right, but I'm talking about this is all going on. He could have reached out, because I was watching how many people were in that parking lot.
Right.
And he could have,
Now, Todd, let me ask you another question, since we're talking about the training and stuff. When we talk about an officer's training and how it could be used against them, right? Because now, in New York, we weren't taught, in my academy class, we weren't taught chokeholds. But but in California, Mongo and 12, they were taught chokeholds in the California academy. Right. But now, are we seeing a line where if we're trained in a certain tactic, right, those tactics can come back and be used against us?
Well, the biggest problem is those tactics or those techniques are not being utilized properly. There comes a point in time that, such as the issue in Minneapolis. Let's just go there. Minneapolis Police Department. I looked up their policy. They do allow the neck restraint, though they did up until a month or so ago. The point that this particular encounter occurred, it was allowed and it was taught in their academy. But here's the problem. There comes a point in time that, okay, you have this guy under control, take your knee off of him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that goes back to training, because you've got to maintain your level of training. And if it's a perishable skill. If you don't use it, you lose it. And it's something that must be maintained on a regular basis.
So do you think he was so focused on his level of training that he kept his knee on there? I mean, is it, it's funny when I was teaching some safety classes, and I know this is kind of a little off. You take with earpieces, you put your earpiece in your ear to muffle the sound, right? But there's a training way. You're supposed to bring your one arm around your head, pull your ear up, and put the what do you call it? The earpiece into your ear canal. Could he have the justification saying, well, they told me to put my knee on his neck, but they never told me how long to keep it there or when to take it off? I mean, do we actually have to tell people how to do things precisely, step by step by step by step?
No, common sense should rule the day.
Common sense should, but obviously in that case it didn't. Right. But I mean,
well, do you think a national this comes back to having a national standard where, if every officer in and we'll talk at we're going to leave the feds out of this,
right?
Because that's that's
a whole other issue.
It's a whole other thing. But at least the state, local, municipal on down, that if there is a national standard and if they can agree on it, we will see less issues like what John was just saying in court about being able to use the training the way they were trained against the officer, because it's like, well, the officer's trained as every single other officer in the United States of America.
I think it is a good idea, but here's the caveat. We can't even agree on a firearms qualification course from department to department.
Right.
So, I mean, you've got a variety of qualification courses from state to state, and I would venture to say that you're going to have at least 50 different qualification courses for each state.
Yeah,
and we can't even agree there, so now we've got a combatives or a self-defense or a control and arrest techniques program. There's not going to be an agreement. So there has to be an agreement to do so. But then here again, you've got the egos that step in that cause a big part of the problem.
Right, and nobody said this was going to be easy. I mean,
Right.
affecting this level of change and putting into practice, listening to all sides and the kind of change they want to see, being able to consider it and weigh it. That's why when we started the show, it's like so many people are making decisions to change things based upon emotion rather than what really exists in reality, when they can step back and say, if I do this, oh my gosh, this is actually the outcome, and we don't want that either. So
well, and you've got a lot of, I'll even say this, you've got a lot of private companies out there, not so much mine, which is, Viking Consulting Group. I've got a cadre of instructors that are just top notch. I'd put these guys up against anybody in the country, because every one of these guys come to the table with 20 plus years of experience. But you've got some of these organizations, or some of these companies, I should say, that are nothing but prior military guys. And I'm not saying anything negative about that, about the guys that did their service. Hey, thank you very much. But I will say this, ask one of them what they know about Tennessee versus Garner. Right. Ask one of them what they know about Graham versus Connor. Those are the standard that law enforcement sets as far as use of force or use of deadly force.
Right. Now let's talk a little bit about that, because there are some that would like to see the military come in and actually train the police department.
See, I just heard the opposite on that.
There are some that believe, because there seems to be I think it's a misunderstanding that they don't actually understand, but they believe that the military has a better use of force continuum and actually de-escalation techniques. I believe you're comparing apples and oranges.
100%.
So they don't mesh. But Todd, I want to hear your comments about that, because people are saying that. Why don't we just bring in our military?
Well, it doesn't work, because their rules of engagement are different, their techniques are different, their tactics are different. And again, I go back to case law, which everything we do in law enforcement is set by case law. Right. And now you've got guys who know nothing about case law training law enforcement. That doesn't even make sense. So, I mean, to me, this is why it's very important to pay attention to who you're bringing in to train your people. And look at and again, my dad is retired Navy, and I've got many relatives. My brother-in-law is retired Army. But again, we go back to just what you said, John, it's apples and oranges. And I've talked to guys with different police departments that have talked to or brought in certain guys with the military to try and train even their SWAT teams. And once some of the tactics that they're taught, they've had to stop them in the middle of training and say, look, we can't do that. Mm-hmm. Our rules of engagement are different. Our use of force is different. So there needs to be a line of demarcation there, or a line drawn in the sand, if you will, there are some things that just don't need to be that way. And I'll say this too, living in Florida, we're about to take on the task of doing basic SWAT courses here. We've got, and where they're going now, they go to a certain National Guard base. Well, when they come to their firearms training, because it's a National Guard base, they don't allow law enforcement officers to train their guys in firearms. It's only the military. They've got to go back after their training and retrain them, because the techniques that were taught were completely wrong. I've talked to to these guys that are on the SWAT Association board, and they're going, it's a mess. And I'm using very kind words there, but some of the techniques, the old cup and saucer, to teach somebody to shoot a pistol, no, we don't do that no more.
They're still teaching that?
I can show you pictures.
Oh my gosh.
I have pictures.
Come on, stop watching movies.
I forgot I was going to say. I had a point where you were just talking about.
It was a distraction outside.
Yeah,
got a little noisy in here.
Got a little noisy, but with the national standard, and we can't agree on things and this, that, and the other thing. We can't agree on pursuits, but with the military and the police department's landscape, if you will, is ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, no interaction is every interaction is unique in its own right.
Yes.
So there are so many variables on every situation that an officer runs into. It would be almost impossible to train them to a level of standard to say, well, in this situation you do this, in this situation you do this, and this. There has to be a way to say, I guess to round it out. I don't even know what the word would be, because, like I said, every interaction is unique.
Well, it's like Todd, and you remember when we did the shoot no shoot. Remember the video? So we just dated ourselves too. That simulation, and by that time, that we did that shoot no shoot, it is gauging, your response to a situation that is presented in front of you, and if you've got this goes back to the Derek Chauvin. If you've got an agent or an officer who is displaying behavior in which clearly it's a no-shoot situation, and they're shooting every single time, that's where you do the timeout. Okay, that's where you pull back. That's where you have the discussion. I don't know. That's where you run them through training, but you don't let people progress and almost. I've even heard it on other shows, kind of hide in the department so that one day we have
we have
Floyd.
to start training people to be aware of the red flags that are going up all over the place.
Right, that's the situational awareness. Yeah.
I mean, you got to see the red flags. Who didn't see this coming?
Well,
really, I mean, 18, 19 complaints. Who didn't see the end result that you knew where this was going to end up one day?
So from the three of our standpoints and all the experience that we have combined, if we were supervisors here and this guy came in and applied for a job, I think we all would agree that we'd be like, we'll pass.
Yeah, 7-Eleven's hiring.
So. It begs the question, was there an alternative agenda? Because there's so many backstories going on. So we're not even going to go down that road. But what I'm saying is he should, we all agree that he should have never been hired in the first place.
But you know what? And Todd, you got to agree. There are many other, not many, but there are other Chauvins on the job right now.
Oh, unfortunately, there are.
And are we missing them? Are they dynamite ready to blow up?
Well, yeah, and those are the guys that hopefully your instructors are paying attention to what these guys are doing and the attitudes and their demeanor and their personality, even how they treat other officers in there.
Exactly.
If they've got a bad attitude and they're treating everybody like garbage, obviously there's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Right. Well, my gosh, this is the time has flown by. Again, Todd, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your expertise, helping me and John and our audience understand even more the importance of training and why we don't want to defund and keep taking money away from our police departments. That training is so vital and is an integral piece in solving this very messy puzzle
But the big
that's
thing
going
is
on.
what Todd said,
out
man.
here.
We start defunding cops going from their training, but it's going right from the
Exactly.
going right from the training
It's
budget.
coming out of training.
Yeah.
So
It is. It's going to create just a whole gamut of other issues. But, you know, I will say thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here. And you know, like I said, I appreciate my guys that I work with now, and obviously my wife and kids and grandkids. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a papa.
There we go. So if somebody is listening that's in law enforcement or in a training capacity, they want to reach out to you and your consulting group, how do they do that?
I will give you my email address. It is Nunley, Nunley at VikingConsultantGroup.com. A telephone number, I can, you know, I don't mind.
You don't have to bring give out the telephone number because
but
people.
But the email is again, it's Nunley at VikingConsultantGroup.com, and like I said, we've got new facility that we're kicking off, 214 acres with multiple ranges, Southern Tactical Training Center.
Wow.
And
that sounds
we're
fun.
very excited about it.
Yeah.
Very, very, very excited
Sounds
about
like
it.
a lot of fun. Well, thank you again. So John just put it up
Yep.
there. T Nunley at Viking Consultant Group, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. T Nunley at Viking Consultant. No, we'll get it fixed. No worries.
I couldn't see. Sorry about that.
It's we'll get it up there. So thank you so much again for coming on, and I'll be in touch for sure.
Anytime. Y'all
Thanks,
take
Todd.
care.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
again. Thank you,
bet.
John. See you, Sam.
Take care.
Stay safe.
So wow, all right. So lots of light shed on the importance of training, and
Got a long way to go.
we got a long way to go. And you know, every week we come together, we talk about, frankly, the hard stuff. And John's doing multiple duties today, and one of the biggest things that we talk about is support
Right.
for the show. And John did a fabulous job. We've got a brand new YouTube page up.
Which I saw you uploaded some stuff.
I did.
I
I'm
know.
helping you out, man.
I went to upload something. I'm
We're
like,
a team.
oh, she already did it.
Yeah, we're a team. So
That's great.
if you'd like to support the Mad Radio Show, please go to our YouTube, which is Mad Radio Texas. That's Mad Radio Texas. Hit the subscribe. And there's also a way to donate to the show, because there's lots of things going on off camera that folks don't see. And if you want to help us out in that way, you can go to abadgeofhonor.com. That's abadgeofhonor.com. Click on Mad Radio, and there's a donate button right there. Every penny, I'll say, counts. Oh, we've got a coin shortage.
we got a
different.
so don't send coins, send dollars.
Yeah, different show. But gosh, so we have the new YouTube up. We've got the Mad Radio section on our webpage, A Badge of Honor. We've got Healing Our Heroes comedy.
Yep,
that we're going to be rolling out. There's so much going on, and I would be remiss to not quickly just say I've been getting tons of calls, John, and I mean tons. Calls, texts, Facebook messages from people like, Sam, uncertain world living in, very scared, want to get my Texas license to carry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In Texas, we call it a Texas license to carry, folks. I've been an instructor since 2014. Proud to serve the state of Texas and all Texans. So after, long career in law enforcement. So if you want to get your concealed, I almost messed it up. If you want to get your Texas license to carry, and that allows you to carry your firearm concealed or open, and you'll find all about that in the laws as you go through the course. Go ahead and visit thetexasltconline.com. That's thetexasltconline.com. Grab your course for $49. You can reach me through the website if you have questions. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Texas LTC Online. But that's thetexasltconline.com. Thank you, Steve, for putting it up in the chat. Gosh, what else do we have, John?
You know,
I mean, we got our seminar. We got so much.
We have a lot going on. Our main thing is we will listen if you are or know of an officer that is battling, know a first responder that's battling. Don't let them go through the day. Give us a call. Let us know. We'll be there to help. If your organization needs some decompression, needs some stress relief, needs a badge of honor to be there to speak to the outgoing platoons or the outgoing shift, let us know. We're here for you. We just don't want to see the stress levels get to a point beyond no return.
Absolutely. And we're honoring those who serve each month. We've got a special Walk the Bridge on the 26th,
yes.
right? 26th of September. And you can find out more information by going to walkthebridge.org.
Yes.
Again, we're back in the blue. We're back in the green. We're bringing awareness to suicide and the ability to help.
Now.
Yeah. And, if you are listening and you need help, go to abadgeofhonor.com, scroll down, look at our partners, all vetted. Click on it. It'll go right to their website. Please don't be afraid to pick up the phone, call them, call me, call John. We will listen. And to all the police officers and paramedics and EMTs and firefighters and, troopers and I mean, everybody out there who's, is missing a lot of thank yous. We love you. Stay safe.
Yep. Love you guys. And we are here if you need. Until next week, next Wednesday, we will be back at our regular scheduled time from 6 to 7. And we'll see you then.